Good morning, YouTube world. Admiral Preparedness here. It's Wednesday, and that leads us to Catalog Wednesday. We have a roll dice, cheaper than dirt, Sportsman's Guide, Emergency Essentials Catalog A, or Emergency Essentials Catalog B. Roll the dice. Cheaper than dirt, folks. Well, we all know about these catalog companies and what they're trying to sell you, so we'll keep it brief on what's in these guys. What I want to talk to you about today is some logical matters. A few individuals out there I've been watching, they have some excellent advice. If you're out of shape, don't try to bug out until you get into shape. Uh, be prepared means a lot of things to a lot of people. The older you get, just face it, you need to surround yourself with your circle of trust. The younger you are, the better chances of your survival are exponentially in your favor as long as you prepare. There are a lot of techniques out there you can learn from these channels. The internet is one of the best examples of where to find that information now that we no longer have libraries per se. They have pretty much gone by the wayside. They're not totally dead yet, but if you carry books, if you've looked into my videos, books are an essential part of keeping that historical database. Another thing is these survival foods. We all know that variety is the best spice of life, so don't get yourself pigeonholed. The other thing to do is to come to the conclusion that push comes to shove, you're going to be having a willing to take somebody's life. That's up to you. But remember, there are the of that black cloud of a SHTF. There are things to consider. One is the total breakdown of government, city, state, federal levels. If you leave where you're living at the time the SHTF occurs, you may forfeit everything that you left behind. Understand that it is now considered abandoned property. Uh, the possession's 9/10 of the law. Somebody starts to squat on your land while you bugged out, and you realize that you can't get to where you need to go, so you better go back home. You may find some people occupying a place where you used to live, and that's going to be a big problem because you're going to find yourself defending your property while you're trying to reacquire it. That could be costly in lives, and that could be costly in your material that you left behind because they may have the opinion that if they can't have it, nobody will, and they'll burn it to the ground. Now, the one thing that be in consideration of, like a young man here, I recently watched his video. Very young person who had it spot on. And what you need to do is plan ahead to bug in with contingencies. Plan ahead to bug out with contingencies. If you want to stay home and hunker down, then like the gentleman was saying in his presentation, have an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, W, X, Y, Z plan. Don't just depend on one thing. I like to consider the theory behind gathering your neighbors. Where there's strength, there's numbers. I have also agreed to become a security representative for several farms in the area. That if an SHT event occurred, the agreement is I will make my way towards that farm and defend that farm and receive barter goods in the process. And my situation is not, they're not very far away. They're within a 5 to 10 minute walking distance. For you people who live in high-rise apartments, you're SOL. Uh, I can't even try to express how screwed you are. If you live in an urban area, you have a better chance, like a tract or a dense housing tract. Uh, the neighborhood watch system if you look at it in a realistic manner, your neighborhood watch is a form of prepping. You're letting your neighbors know that you're willing to keep an eye out for them, and they're willing to keep an eye out for you. When you have those neighborhood watch meetings, by all means, bring a catalog, bring one of these catalogs, talk about what's in them, familiarize yourself with these items that are in these catalogs, because even though you may not be capable of the situation being handled properly, you're opening the window for those folks to know what's out there, what can be availed. So you just have to understand that when you decide to join a I don't want to call them a militia or organization for the protection of your property and family and life, that you always need to know that you've got a plan B, that backup. There are several people out there who are staunch individualists who think they can get by all by themselves, and I applaud them. I want to slap them on the back if I could ever meet them. But you have to remember that you're going to find yourself walking down a riverbed. You're going to find yourself walking through a gully or a culvert or wherever, and there's going to be people wanting to take your stuff. Uh, Again, those marauders will run in numbers. These people who write these screenplays and put them on film, and you get to have the entertainment of watching them on the comfort of your home. They've already thought this stuff out. They had to, or they wouldn't go into production. A lot of these groups out there, they're serious. They're dead serious. They will come get your stuff. If you advertise that you're a prepper, you advertise that you're a survivalist, you advertise that you're a patriot, uh, we need to find a closed knit society. There are a few closed knit societies out there that you can join. You just have to find them. But they're going to be wanting to know who you are. They're going to be wanting to know what you can offer them. So be really, weary. Keep a close eye on what you're looking for. Avoid giving out I personally have several different email accounts that I use, that I can tell who's looking to probe my resources or my abilities. As I get older, and I'm not a young spring chicken anymore, but uh, the people that I talk to are open-minded, where they're going to say, this gentleman knows what he's talking about. Maybe we need to listen. Show them that you know your stuff. If you're out there BSing people, they're going to see right through that so fast it will make your head spin. And next thing when that time comes, you're going to be shunned. So for all you folks out there who go to church quite frequently, for all you folks who understand that the church is a good place to go, understand that church needs to be protected. Some of those people out there don't believe in guns and don't believe in home protection. That's all fine, but let the sheep be led to slaughter. So there's not more I can say about that other than you have what you have. For folks out there who are like-minded, find those folks, identify yourself. Don't go into great detail of what you have, but attend the meetings. The the old saying, when the Soviet Union got a firm grip on their population, they were spied on everybody. Well, that happens here too, folks. So be aware that the authorities. I'm not a paranoid person, but just be understand that the authorities will be keeping an eye out for individuals who are buying large amounts of weaponry and having large shipments of ammo being delivered to their homes via these shipping companies, because they have records too, and all it takes is one subpoena by some snooty judge, and next thing you know, you're having your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth amendments under question. Uh, be careful when you order anything from these catalog companies. I like to always have the boxes unmarked. Of course, the individual who brings the packages to me, we're very good friends, so we both understand each other. Safety is in numbers, but when it comes to whichever SHTF event occurs, keep in mind that your preparations could all go up in smoke, literally, when somebody decides to throw a Molotov cocktail through your kitchen window, and you're not prepared to put the fire out. So again, choose where you live wisely if you can. If you can't choose where you live wisely, at least have what's called situational awareness, so you know and identify who the bad apples are that may ruin the cart, but yet understand that those bad apples can be sometimes, swayed in other directions now to point at other people during an SHTF. If somebody came to you and said, "Where's the people with the food?" Well, you're not going to tell them it's you. You're going to start pointing your finger at your neighbors, hoping that they'll be eliminated before they eliminate you. That is one of those things where that's all up to you, but you got to live with that. The best thing to do is take advice from as many people as you can, filter out what you need to filter out, and go about your way. I don't particularly hold to any political parties band, so I'm not going to be swayed by, oh, well, you need to be a Democrat, you need to be this, or you need to be a Republican, you need to be this, because when it comes to the end, there ain't no Republican or Democrat. It's you it's you in survival and death. It's you and having food and not having food. It's you having shelter and not having shelter. You need to come to the conclusion that if you don't do it on your own, and Big Brother's going to come walking up and knock on your door and grab you up and throw you in a school bus, you're going to find yourself in a camp where cholera and dysentery and all these other nasties are running around. Or wherever you sleep at night, you got to worry about somebody stealing all your stuff. The morning you wake up, it's all gone, and they're gone too. Choose your friends wisely. If you can't change your friends, change friends. If they're not like-minded as you are, then go away, find some other friends. There's always that situation where you're going to find yourself wishing you hadn't got into, that you're stuck. You roll with it. You try to avoid the situation altogether, first of all. But if you're stuck in it, then you make the best of what you have. Complainers don't last long in groups. Cooperation is the best thing of anything when it comes to working as a team. Sharing of resources is always the better part of valor, but when it comes to having items given away or taken from you, or you bartered incorrectly and now they're being turned against yourself, that's where the whole problem with individualism comes in. Back in the day when these wagon trains were headed west, nobody knew each other. Nobody knew anybody until that wagon train started heading west. And I'm going to tell you something right now. As a matter of fact, within 2 to 3 days, everybody in that wagon train knew everybody else, and they knew what everybody had because their lives depended on it. If they lost those horses, if they lost those cows, they lost that steer that were bringing those wagons across, they were dead. They knew it because it wasn't the environment that killed them. It was the other people that were there before them wanting to kill them. So a lot of times the scouts would speak the language of the area and seek out those indigenous individuals and make treaties with them, or at least get passes to be allowed to go on past their property, knowing that they're not going to stay. But you know that the people who were there at the time when the settlers crossed were weary now, because now they knew more people were coming. Just like today, in the modern world, that texting, telephone, digital electronic information highway that you have at your use could be an asset to you, depending on how far along an SHTF event occurs. When they say circle around the wagons, all the ladies and kids get in the middle, they're not kidding around, because they're fighting off whatever it was that was attacking them. When you go to these meetings with your friends and like-minded individuals, go back to the history, go back and discuss that, exactly what I just mentioned, and let them know that we're here for you, you're here for me, we're here for everybody, all for one for all. Simplify and all that. It's one thing where you can always know that there's somebody there for you, that you're there for somebody else. Uh, I love these catalogs. They're fascinating. I wish I had a lot of money. I don't, so I would never. This is all just nice to have. But when you look at this stuff, I hope you understand that there are people out there who are willing to take advantage of your gullibleness, if that's even a word, So, in saying that, I want to wish you guys the happiest of mid-February. The month's almost over. Spring's around the corner. If you're going to grow stuff in your gardens, please, get out there and get ready for it. Because when that first seed hits the ground and starts to sprout, that's food coming up. So, be safe. God bless America. God bless Americans. I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day. It was interesting for here, just to make sure that take care of your country, take care of your family. So, only two things you got. Bye now. Admiral Preparedness here. We're clear.